What do you want to talk about?
Do you know everything? We planned it beforehand, or are we letting it happen?
No, it's recorded. We've recorded now. So.
It's recording now?
Yeah, but I'll just chop the
That
words
was
off
so
the
sweet.
start.
I don't know, you ask me. You
Get
tell
on camera
me.
doing loads of stuff. What do you think of the Motley Crue film?
Go straight into that, shall we?
Yeah.
So disappointed. Well, obviously it had been, how long was it that they'd said that it was going to be like thingy? Because it was at least 10 years in the making, wasn't
years,
it?
12 or 13
and then
years,
they were like, oh, Rob Zombie's going to direct it, so everyone was like, yeah.
Fucking hell, that'd be dark.
Well, I think you should have done.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh yeah, this and that, and then after all that time, after all that waiting, they were going to MTV to make it. They go with Netflix, which, to be fair, Netflix has made some mint stuff, yeah. It's also made a lot of shit stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like 50-50 chance it's going to be mint or it's going to be shit. And it was shit. Like,
it's bad, doesn't it? The thing is, right, I don't know. I don't know if I'm too close to it.
Yeah.
Or what. Because I had some friends commenting, like, on my post about it that were like, it was just a bit of fun.
But yeah, and like, but I just think that's like, oh, we're making a we're making a film about an 80s heavy metal / hair metal band, making it like a fun film with like tits and stuff. It's just so like the obvious thing to do. Like they've been like a joke band for so long.
Yeah.
This could have been their moment to like make it. Like, they were dangerous, like, people died, like, people's lives got ruined, like...
Yeah, because they were fucking crazy,
yeah. People were, like, on heroin and stuff, and instead it was just, like, a big frat party in wigs.
Yeah. Like, the bit where Nikki Sixx, like, dies, was, like...
It was just,
it was,
like, a
seconds,
joke, yeah,
like...
and then the guy in the ambulance was like, I'm not gonna have Nikki Sixx die, and I'm like, not everyone was a Motley Crue fan, like, I appreciate that they were big, but, it probably wasn't, like... I don't know, I just thought it was so dumb. Like, they could have made it so mint, and I feel like they really missed their chance. And like
the book gets a lot of shit, but I feel like the book probably nailed it as close as it ever will, because the book's pretty dark in some bits. Yeah. I read it like loads when I was in college because I was like,
man got like it came apart in the middle, like, you know, where the bit where the pictures are, it just like split and like it was proper dog-eared, because I used to read it all the time, and I remember reading it and just thinking like, this is the coolest band in the world. And like, I think it has a lot to do, like, it's not, don't really blame like Netflix that much, because I think they did the best with what they could. Like, that book came out, was it early 2000s?
Probably, yeah.
Not the 90s, early 2000s. And the world was a different place back then, and I think you couldn't translate some of the things in that book to now, because, you know, things like the Me Too movement and, like, you know, just general political correctness, like, that film would have been, if they would have done everything that they did in the book, can you imagine, like, the uproar? Yeah. And I feel like that's why they felt the need to sneak in, like, oh, we're not horrible misogynistic people, like, having McMahon saying ridiculous things like, I happen to respect women, like, didn't happen. He was still in Motley Crue, you know what I mean? Like, you were in Motley Crue, you know what I mean? Like, and like, there was a whole thing where, I think it was in the book, where like they were all sober and they all thought McMahon was being sober, but he was drinking pints of vodka. Yeah. Well, like, he was a massive raging alcoholic. He wasn't like, they all had like their own kind of like demons. Like, obviously Nikki Sixx's was heroin. Like Vince Neil's was like sex, and like Mick Mars's was like alcoholism. Like, he was proper wrecked all the time. He used to get beat up by his missus. Didn't put that in the film because it just would have been too difficult for them to like deal with that. Yeah, or like that in itself would have been such a weird tangent, because it's a bit of a happy-go-lucky film. Yeah, and that's why I feel like why, like, there's so many dark things about that book and about that band. Like, what, like, I feel like I don't remember Vince Neil's daughter dying. Oh yeah, Skylar. That was like towards the end of the book when it all started getting really boring, to be honest. But like, fucking Pamela Anderson wasn't even in it. She was like the main. That was strange, yeah. That she was like more associated with Motley Crue than Heather Locklear was. Oh, definitely, yeah. And like, I thought timeline-wise that she would have been in it as well. I appreciate they only had like an hour and 40 minutes, and I think it would have been so much better if they made it like a series. And then you could have had all these happy-go-lucky and like cheery moments, but you also could have had like the dark bits. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and it just, to me, it was just like, it's weird because it's not like they're not afraid to put it out there, because like Netflix, I mean, it feels like
like obviously all the members of Motley Crue were executive producers on it, and they've stay away from it, because like, have you seen the O.J. Simpson thing on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's meant to be mint though, isn't it?
Bananas. And it's amazing. Dark as fuck, and I'm like, O.J. Simpson's still alive.
Yeah.
So they're still like, because they made another one about the death of Gianni Versace.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, by the same people, right?
It's by people that make American Horror Story, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's American crime stuff.
It's wicked that if you can deal with like, I was watching it and there's so much bumming in it. I was like, it's ridiculous.
So much bumming.
And I was like, I'm having to like make a conscious effort to get past the bumming.
Like, just power through the bumming.
Yeah. But it's really good. But both the guys in that, obviously, it's about the fucking Versace dying, and the guy, it's not a spoiler because it's in the film, the guy that kills him dies as well. So I'm like, they're doing these things posthumously where they can pretty much say what they want about these people.
Yeah, but like, I feel like
basically we have to wait for Motley Crue to die before biopics can come out.
But that's what I mean. Like, I think they were willing to be a lot more honest in the early 2000s. Now that there's all these political movements and like things are seen as wrong and stuff, they're a lot more shitting themselves because they want to be seen as these really wholesome, great older guys, like these really like, you know. And obviously a lot of shit has come out, as you'll know, like Michael Jackson and, you know, and like there've been a lot of posts, if you're going to vilify Michael Jackson, then you need to take a look at Elvis Presley, Steven Tyler, Jimmy Page, I think was one of them.
Right, okay.
Yeah, or was it Jimmy Page?
I don't know.
No, it wasn't Jimmy Page. I'm just like calling Jimmy Page a pedo and he wasn't. But basically, there's loads of shit like that, you know what I mean? Like people who were like abusing women and like having sex with underage girls and stuff. Both things that, let's face it, Motley Crue defo did. Yeah. But obviously, because they're still alive.
It's true that it's not come out.
Yeah. like, and I think they're like very like aware that they like. Just listen to the lyrics of some of the songs. She's only 15. That is literally the first words of one of the songs.
Right.
Like, so, like, I think they're very aware of that. They don't want to get sucked into that. So they've played it mega safe. They've had too much control with this film. Yeah. You can tell it's like an idealised version of each and every character.
Yeah.
Especially Nicky Six. Maybe want to vomit, to be honest, because I can't really stand him anymore. Like, I used to love him, and now I'm like, oh, he's such a pretentious asshole.
So it's funny. I was like, on watching it, and I noticed that like one bit he had that like he's got that really bad like bat tattoo like in the moon. I seen that on the character playing him, and I just like flashed back to being 16 and seeing like a picture of that and being like, sick, that tattoo, it's so cool.
Like I think the best actor was the guy who played the manager, you know, the one who got the Entertainment or Death.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Yeah.
But like
he's probably the only recognisable actor in it as well.
Yeah, and Pete Davidson, but and he wasn't that bad. He's a comedian. Was going out with Ariana Grande recently. He was floppy-haired guy with the striped top. He played Doc.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just think that they had way too much involvement, and they said, make me look like this, like put me across like this. So instead of them going from the books, from a time of them being super honest, they went from how they want to be seen 20 years after the books come out.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the thing is like, I guess when I'm 50, if I was going to make a film about me being 20, I probably would like. You have rose-tinted glasses, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like, I don't
think I did anything as sinister as like crashing a car and killing someone when I was 20.
I mean, there's a bit in the dirt where like Nicky Six is shagging a woman in a cupboard, and Tommy Lee is hidden in the cupboard and she can't see, and they're swapping it about, and then later on they hear that this girl's been raped and they instantly think, oh my god, are they on about this? And they find out that it's not on about that, but then they kind of feel really sick with themselves and they're like, shit, well, we might as well have raped her, like it was super bad. And like, I think that should have been in the film, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's an important character arc, you know what I mean? Like, but it was too dark, it was too scary, like I said, in the wake of all these allegations and, you know, rock stars being pedos and abusers.
They nodded towards it because when Vincent was shagging that girl right at the start in the toilet, she's like, which one are you? Because I read that somebody asked Vince Neil about it and he was like, oh, I don't know why it was in the book, it never happened.
Yeah. And then even the whole thing with like, Tommy Lee wrote about that bit where he punches that woman in the face, calling his mum a cunt, like, and it was written like without remorse. And in the film, they made it out like he was so upset that he'd hit her and stuff. Didn't happen. He hit her and then he chucked her off the bus or whatever. Like,
he's sad now.
He's sad now.
Yeah.
And why is he sad now? Because he has to be sad now. Because otherwise, there'll be like news things everywhere saying, "Oh my God, Tommy Lee abused her."
I don't think the dirt. I think you're right in saying I don't think it'd come out now. I think if you gave that manuscript to a publisher now, they'd be like, "Fucking."
I don't think Motley Crue would have allowed it. They'd be like, "Fuck, like we're going to be totally vilified." And like, I think that film missed its chance. It should have come out like a couple of years after the book came out, and it probably would have been a completely different film.
I remember hearing about it years ago, like seeing a thing in Kerrang or something, and being like, "Oh,
it's coming out now."
That might actually come out, like. But yeah, it's probably missed its time, hasn't it?
Like one of Simon's biggest gripes was like actually a lot of the backgrounding. Like, if you actually look at the background characters and the extras, there's absolutely nothing periodical about them at all, like of the time.
Really?
Like Heather Locklear had straight fucking hair. She had like big hair. It was like really frizzy. Yeah. Everyone just looked like they could be from any era. They just had like plain t-shirts and denim mini skirts on. That could be now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like there was a bit where they got in a fight with a guy with a beard and like a slick back hairdo. It's not now. You know what I mean? Like it was just really random. And then there'd be like these long shots of like the rainbow or the whiskey, but you'd never actually see them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how like in big film productions they'd cordon off the street, they'd like they'd actually film it there. Everything looked like it was filmed in a studio.
There was one or two shots that of like the rainbow or the whiskey or something that would clearly like stock footage.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which
and everything
you can
else
get away
was
with
like
sometimes if you like if your style is like that, but it was like
I just felt like it deserved a lot more. Like if you're gonna make it about this band and it's been in production for ages, invest money and time in it. I get that they're not Queen, you know what I mean? But I still think that it deserved more. It deserved more honesty, and it deserved, like, I don't know, and it just deserved more. I think the fans deserve more.
There's just so much that could have been.
I think it should have been a mini-series, and then they could have had the highs and the lows, and the happy and the sad, and the shocking, and also the nice bits. And the way they ended it, they were like, oh, and then it was all happy, and they played for 20 years later. Oh my God, like, didn't happen. Like, Pamela Anderson got punched up, Tommy Lee went to jail.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, sex tape came out.
Yeah, sex tape came out. That bit with John Corabi and like Vince left, they were just like, literally, John Corabi didn't even have any, well, the actor that was portraying him didn't even have a speaking part. He was just there, and then he was gone, and then it was all fine. You know what I mean? And then when they all got back together, they made it up, they were like, oh, it's because we're brothers. They fucking hated each other before they broke up. They hated each other when they got back together, and then they hated each other again, which is why Tommy Lee left the band, got replaced by Randy Castillo, and then he died of cancer, and then they got Samantha Maloney from Hall to be the drummer, and then Nikki Sixx ended up shagging her on The Secret behind his playmate wife Donna DeRico's back. Like, there's loads of shit that went down, but they just ended it with like, and it was all dead mint. It was not mint.
Yeah, it's like such a small part. It felt like it was just about the theatre of pain to her, really.
Yeah, which is the worst bit. Like, I feel like they either should have made it like Shout at the Devil, Too Fast for Love, like those early like years, or maybe about like Dr. Feelgood. You know, they all had to get clean, and it was really hard, and then they came back, and that was the best, like commercially, the best album they ever made, the tightest they ever were. But they kind of tried to do too much. In like the film was like an hour and 45 minutes long. Yeah. Not even fucking 2 hours long. You know what I mean? Like, so.
I think the thing is like, and I think this is with like music biopics across the board. The Queen film does this. It's like the band like meets, and then they play like one or two gigs, and then they're like, oh, so record deal. Right, okay, and it's like. It'll do like a montage of 3 or 4 gigs, and all of a sudden they're playing to thousands of people, and I'm like, for me, you've skipped past the meat of
that's
like
the meat,
that's what makes like
the struggle
so many bands,
and the real trying.
Yeah, and the ones that have got through, and bands that I know that are like massive, like.
Because it sounds horrible, but once you've got the record deal and once you're playing to thousands of people, it's kind of the beginning and the end of the story. You know what I mean? Like, you've done it, you've made it, success. It's only going to go fucking down from there, you know what I mean? The fights, the ego, the jealousy, the demise, the deaths, the drug addiction. That's when, like, the end kind of begins, really.
If you look at a band's career, usually, unless they're like, they have a spark and they're just like, after a year or two, like, all of a sudden they make it big. But generally, like, if you've known about a band for 4 or 5 years, they've probably been going for 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's those 10 years that creates those last five that everybody's like loves so much.
Yeah.
And all the fucking biopics do it. And I'm like, it can't be just me that's just watching them.
Like I think it's because they can't just appeal to the mega fans, they have to appeal even to the lazy fans. Because that's where the money's at. You want to appeal to as many people as possible. So the mega fans are going to see it anyway because they're interested in the band.
Yeah.
But then you can tempt people who don't really give a shit because they're like, oh, well, I know that one song. Like,
they want to see Queen at Live Aid.
Like I think it must be really, really hard because you're condensing like an entire maybe decades or a decade or like, and there's not just one person, there's loads of different personalities and, you know, different songs and stuff. But so like,
they should do TV shows.
That's why it should be like, or at least like a 4 or 5 part thing. Like, what I liked Bohemian Rhapsody.
I wasn't keen at all.
It wasn't perfect, but I think it was miles above the dirt.
But
I don't really know that many music biopics that I do really like. I don't think any of them have ever got it dead on right.
Yeah, fiction ones, I can't think of any. And the thing with the Queen one is that there's like I don't know if it's still on there, it came out a while ago, there was like a thing on BBC Two which was like 3 or 4 episodes about Queen and their career, and it's unbelievable. It's documentary style, you know what I mean? But that's all, like, watched that and I was like, oh.
I think they work, and if you want the fiction fantasy, then stuff like Almost Famous and Rockstar. I really like those films, they get a lot of stick. But like, it's
Rockstar the one with Mark Wahlberg, isn't it?
It's like, well, I'm not even going to say guilty pleasure, it's just a pleasure. But like, I can see why people think it's ridiculous. But like, I think that's a well better film than The Dirt. You can get lost in it a little bit more. And you know, people do the soundtrack, like that soundtrack's done by Zach Wilde. It's great, it's a bit fun, you know what I mean? But like, you're not...
My first band used to cover Stand Up and Shout.
Stand Up and Shout.
Like, I can play that on drums right now.
I think I could play that on drums. It's not hard. But
I wonder if that's on Spotify. It's got to be on Spotify.
It's on my playlist. But like, I think, have that, and then that can be all fun. It's not like besmirching the good name of a real band that you care about because it's a made-up band. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
like, I can't think of any films about bands.
Reggie says general. The Doors one with Val Kilmer's really good. I've not seen it.
Right.
But Simon was like, it's alright.
Reggie bumps the Doors.
The main thing overall that irked me about The Dirt, I could forgive, you know, the fact that it's got to be like sort of bubble gummed out and that it was party times and that Machine Gun Kelly kept saying dude. I can forgive all of that. What I can't forgive, it was like 5% music.
Yeah.
There was like one little bit where Vince Neil does his first audition and they sing Live Wire, and then the chick that he's with on the sofa is like, like as if they're like amazing. I was like, and then after that, there's absolutely nothing to do with the music. There's no like what inspired them or like how the songs were received.
Yeah,
they were a massively influential band with a very influential sound and look, and so many people copied them.
Yeah, and
they had so many beefs with like other bands. You know what I mean? Like
so a lot of people tried to be them afterwards.
And there was like none of that shown. Like you know, there was like. Other than like the whole death of Razzle and stuff, they had like David Lee Roth in it for like 2 seconds, which was pretty funny. I kind of liked that. But there was no like, this is how influential they were on the scene. Like this, like their music like really changed the way that like people thought about them and stuff. And like it was just very little about the music, everything about the good times. And I think if you're making a film about a band, that's unforgivable. It should be about the music. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember I was like well into like glam and stuff.
Yeah.
And going into one of my drum lessons, I was like 15 or 16, and I was like, I just like mentioned Motley Crue to my drum teacher because I was like, I think I'm going to play like one of their songs. And the songs are pretty easy to play on drums in terms of like skill level, they're not hard at all.
Yeah.
And he like was talking to me like about Motley Crue, and he was like smirking. And he was trying his hardest to be sincere and be like, oh, like, so that's who you're into. And I was like, do you think they're a joke? I was like, oh, yeah, we like Motley Crue, like, who wouldn't? You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't get it. And now I'm like,
but that's what I mean. That's why it's such a shame because, like, obviously, I went through a really weird transition listening to Motley Crue. Like, I started off on grunge music, like Screaming Trees, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, and like Mudhoney and stuff. That's what first got me into music.
Right.
And then I graduated obviously it was the noughties, so of course I graduated to like emo music.
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of like then moved
Stuck
on.
around in that, yeah.
Well, everyone moved on to like like my best mates listened to like Job for a Cowboy and like stuff like Abigail Williams, if you remember them, and like Horse the Band and all that shit, and Shikari and stuff, like more kind of like metalcore scene stuff.
Yeah.
And for some reason, don't ask me why, I was like, we'll start listening to Motley Crue and start listening to like Poison and all this stuff, and just like got into all that stuff. And so many people that I knew were like, oh my god, like why are you listening to this? It's so gay. And like I'd be like, they're not though. Like if you actually listen to the songs, like they're so mint. Like they fight people and they shag loads of girls and like they get so drunk. And like obviously like if you don't know about that music, you just look at them. They just look like men, tranny men. You know what I mean? Like dressed in wigs and lipstick. And I thought that this film would be such a great opportunity to show how fucking badass they actually were. Right. But it didn't. They were just gimps. Further like solidifying the fact that they were gimps.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a shame.
I had a lot of love for like the glam lot, like in the corner upstairs and stuff, because I went like teenage years, like early like school. My sister listened to like Nirvana and stuff, so I used to like borrow her tapes and like, so I got into like a lot of rock music through my sister, a lot of grunge, and then like Tony Hawk's came out, so I went like a little bit punk, but like not much, and then I don't know how I just ended up going down like classic rock. I think most
it was,
like lads do.
GTA Vice City had like Too Young to Fall in Love.
Right.
Si told me this. I'm not a gamer, but he was like he said that's what got him into that kind of music.
I can't think what in particular. I think it was just like hair metal and like extravagant stuff. My dad liked Van Halen and like, and then I kind of like I went to college and I still listened to it, but like that's when I got into like emo and like death metal and stuff. But just still like was like held like a nice little piece in my heart. So when I got to Conroe's and you and Jeff and Courtney have like massive hair and that, I'd be like that. I'd be like, I'm with you. I've got a fringe and I'm wearing a t-shirt that's like this tight on me. But I was like, I'm on your side.
I find it funny how those two kind of coincide, because I feel like emo in a lot of ways was like the glam of the noughties.
Yeah,
a lot of men with makeup, a lot of like about the hair and the general look and stuff. Yeah. And it was almost the antidote to all this sort of like Limp Bizkit, like new metal, like chains and being general dirty greeb. And then suddenly everyone was like really bothered about their appearance. Like all the boys had like black nail varnish on and stuff. It was like sort of like the glam of its day.
Yeah, definitely.
And definitely like bands like Avenged Sevenfold and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like all had like a lot of influence.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, they took a lot from.
Yeah, like hard rock influences and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I've always been into like varied music, and I'm glad. But I think the reason that I got into them, like I remember, like when you're young, and I feel like it's so sad that music doesn't do this anymore. Like I remember seeing a picture of them, and I was like, fucking hell, like look at them, they look mental. And like the same way that like you'd see Marilyn Manson, and like there was that like rumour at school where like he got his ribs took out so he sucked himself off, and like before that there was like before Marilyn Manson obviously there was like Alice Cooper, there was Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, you know what I mean, and people that generally frightened people that were like otherworldly, you know what I mean, people thought, are they even human, or what are they? And I feel like it's so sad because a lot of that mystery has been removed now. Like there's not that magical kind of like like what the fuck's this?
I feel like music, it's so annoying that it's so consumable, because it held like that like magic for me as well. And like I was talking to someone the other day about like going to Virgin Media, going to Middlesbrough, right, with your fucking bus fare, and like being like literally like looking at spending like 45 minutes to an hour in Virgin, looking at CDs, checking how many songs are on the CD, and like
get your money's worth.
Shit, like like I only know 1 or 2 songs off that.
And sometimes they'd be fucking expensive, $17.99 for an album. Sometimes
was too much for me.
It was for too. $9.99, $12.99 at most.
Fine, but and being like, this is the one I've chosen. And then like seeing your mates or whatever, and then getting on the bus, and then like going home and like opening it on the bus, and like
if it had the words in bonus,
like read, but you can't put it on because you know like maybe you don't have your CD walking.
You gotta wait till you get in.
And get in, you put it in.
And like hearing the first notes of the opening track and being like, okay, all right, see what cracks. It was like mint, and I feel like now it's just like
skip.
Yeah,
skip,
or like,
or
you don't even need to skip, you just type in the song that you want and then you just have that song and you don't have to go any further with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't really know what's going to happen to music. I think it's exciting in a way because it's going like completely new avenue, but I feel like it's also a very scary time for music. Like it's not, you can see it in the way that people dress and people are like, to me it's like subcultures don't even really exist properly anymore. Like even like when you go places like London, it's even changing down there. Like, I used to think it was a small town thing, but it's not, it's everywhere. Like, you know, you can get like Guns N' Roses t-shirts in Primark, and like you know, girls that used to pick on me in school have like pink and purple hair and stuff now, and it's like everyone can be into everything, which in a way is great. Like, you know, I'm not saying that everyone should be like a gatekeeper and be like, well, you can't like the band that I like, but like there was unity like among those groups because you'd be like, all right, we're wearing like the same t-shirt, like we're of a like mind, we like the same kind of stuff. And I feel like I don't know, like because of the way that music comes out, like you don't have to fully commit. You can flirt with a lot, which is good in a way because you can experience lots of different types of music, but you don't have to like do that ritual of like
a culture, like it brings out. There's a lack of culture around music.
Like
it just exists.
I remember doing that. Like I'd look at, I wouldn't know anything about like music or any bands, and I'd just go to like the metal section, like, right, what looks cool? You know what I mean? Like what looks like min. And you know, I'd probably have enough money to buy like one a week at most.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And like I'd take it home and it'd just be gutting if you picked the wrong one, because you did pick the wrong one now and then.
Yeah,
and you'd be like, fuck, only like 2 songs.
Like, can I take? Am I allowed to take a CD back if I don't? Like
yeah.
It, you know what I mean?
And then like, but then you'd pick the right one more often than not, and it'd be like mint, like you'd
or something would come out.
Yeah.
And you'd be like waiting for a CD to come out.
Like this is such a cringy admission because so many people would be like, really? Like I bought. One of the first albums I bought once I got into like rock music was the Used self-titled album.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how well you know the album, but like the first song,
well,
you know, Maybe Memories.
Yeah.
Like I'd never really properly listened to a song with like screaming in it.
Right.
And I remember I think I was about 13, 12. And like it has like that bit where it's all starting and then the guitar starts and then it starts like screaming, and it was like blew my mind. Fucking blew my mind, and I was like, oh my god, like I could feel like the little things in my brain like snapping. And like, you know, I feel like it's really sad that I don't think, like, I sound like an old man, but I'm like, I don't think kids these days will like experience that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it's really sad.
I remember my dad has always been like well into music. He's got loads of records, loads of CDs and stuff, and he has, I don't know if other people's dads have these things, but there's like a tower, so there's like a tape deck, there's a rack.
My dad still has one of them,
yeah. He
it's
still
got
has
like
it, record player on the top,
hi-fi.
and the hi-fi, and he'd let us use the tapes because I used to make a radio show. I used to record like songs off the radio, and I'd be like, "Oh, this next song is
amazing."
I wish I had some of these tapes.
Gotta have them.
Yeah, I was like 8 or 9.
That's amazing.
And I'll put it out as a podcast if you do, because it'd be fucking mint. But one day he was like, "I think you're old enough to like use the CD player." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And he was like, "Got to be careful." And he like showed me, and he was like,
"Hold it gently."
Open like the CD drawer, and he was like, "Take your pick." And I was like, "Fuck." So I like went through for ages, and I found the Black Album by Metallica because it had a snake on it, and I was
That's
like,
so cool.
I was like, that looks cool. I put it on, and I remember like putting it in, pressing play, and like I'd had it turned up really loud, and the start of Enter Sandman kicked in like through the headphones, and I was like being transported into another world, and I was like, oh my god, the heavy metal.
Yeah, like if you say that to anyone now, they'll just be like, oh yeah, Enter Sandman, but like, it was transcendental if you listen to that as like a young kid.
I'd not heard heavy
metal
like, until that point.
It's like your soul leaves your body and you're like, oh, I've just discovered like the new way.
I didn't know music could be like that.
Yeah, it just like blows your mind. And I don't know, I hope that people still have that experience, but I feel like people just pick and choose now, so you're not forced into some of the avenues that you were forced. Like, I only found out about some bands by literally, like, I had no choice but to buy the album and find out for myself. I couldn't just go on Spotify and have a little taster and see if I liked it or not. You were fully in with the album, or you were fully out without the album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought my dad always had like loads of like record collections and stuff, and I didn't think any of it was really cool. But in later years, I went through his records, like, because that's what I do when I go to the house, just rifle through his things.
Yeah.
Like, and he's got like loads of really cool like rare stuff. He's got like loads of like Django Reinhardt, and like my dad listened, like one of the things I always remember is my dad listened to a lot of like Lead Belly and like blues and like old jazz shit and stuff like that, and that's like his main vibe. And like at the time when I was a kid, or when I was in heavy metal, I was like, it's not cool. And now I'm like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And my mum always listened to fucking Santana. That's about it, and ABBA.
My mum was like, this 80s stuff, reminds me of like going to school. But my dad's got loads of cool records like that he's not really like that into. Like I remember going through his records before, and he had like Number of the Beast, like first person.
Yeah,
and I was
like, got that.
I was like, you don't like Iron Maiden? And he was like,
just give it a test.
Well, he was like, yeah, but like everyone was into Iron Maiden, so I went out and bought it. He was like, I didn't really like it, but I never like give it away or anything. Like it's just...
I have Bring Me the Horizon's first ever thing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of my version of that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got it. I didn't really like it. I still don't really like them now, but I would pick their music now over their music then.
Yeah.
And it was the thing at the time, wasn't it? Like everyone was like, yeah, they have no reflections, and everyone was like, it was that one with 4 songs on it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, it was crazy.
Johnny Grant went to see them not long ago, and he said they did. He messaged me about it. He said they did a medley of like the old like heavy shit.
That does make me.
He said like he loved it, and then he said like the crowd was just silent.
No.
Like they just didn't, and apparently all his mates went, well, that didn't go down very well.
Like, I've never been a big fan. I'd sort of dipped my toe in the water when I was younger because everyone else was. But by this point, I was already well into my Motley Crue phase, so there was no hope for me there in that area. But like, I think they've been incredibly smart about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a big fan or anything. I don't mind them, but like they've adapted really well, and like they're actually probably one of the biggest rock/metal bands at the moment, which I don't know if that makes me happy or incredibly depressed.
It's strange, isn't it? I like him. I think, and I like a lot of the new stuff. I think Ollie Sykes is very intelligent, and he plays off like he's thick as fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
But for me, I'm always like, he was the first, barring Blink-182, right? He was the first guy to go, I've got a bit of influence here, let's set up a clothing company.
No,
Drop Dead were the first like indie clothing company, really.
Yeah, and it was like massive. Like anyone had one of those t-shirts.
Yeah, he's like a legit millionaire from Drop Dead.
No, I think he's really fucking clever, and I think he deserves to be. When people look back at this time, I think he'll be one of the last real, like sort of Kerrang-worthy metal/rock peeps.
Yeah.
You know, because which is kind of sad because I remember them from when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. So I put this question on Facebook the other day. No one could give me like a proper answer. I think you might have seen, like, it wasn't the other day. It was like, when I say the other day, could be now, could be 2 years ago. But like, I said like, what is rock-wise, alternative music-wise, the guys? Who are the guys? And it's like, and everyone was like, oh, well, this guy's getting them. I was like, no, I'm not saying who do you like or who do you think are the guys. Who are unquestionably the guys. Yeah. Like, and by the guys, I mean, like, remember when like American Idiot came out and Green Day were like fucking everywhere. You couldn't like move in a supermarket without seeing his fucking little eyeliner face. On the front cover. Everything was about Green Day. And then after that it was like My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, and that was fucking everywhere, and that was at number 1 and stuff. And then like, the only band since them two has probably been Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah. And then it's like, but still, they've been doing what they're doing for quite a while. They're not the band of, like, they're not this decade's band, so who is it? People are saying like, oh, Mastodon and stuff, and I'm saying all great bands, good bands, but they're not, when people look back, like...
They're like a cultural...
The way you got to think of it, I think, is if someone who knew nothing about, like, my mum could probably tell you who Green Day are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, who are the band that people that are inescapable, you know what I mean? That people who don't even know will go, that band. Yeah.
The only one I can think that would come close at the minute is probably the 1975.
Yeah. Shona actually did a 1975 tattoo today.
And they're essentially like an indie pop band. I quite like 1975.
I know you do. I don't have any beef with them. It's not really like, I like a lot of type music, but...
In terms of like a rock band, because even like if you think about like Green Day times and like when American Idiot came out especially, like they were everywhere, but they'll have been like a pop counterpart, which is what
Yeah.
the 1975 are essentially.
Yeah, so
you know
who's
what I mean?
their
So who's
heavier
the
guy?
alternative one? I don't know.
Do you know what I find so, like, the reason I find it so upsetting is, like, you know, when Sex Pistols came out and stuff, like, there was a lot of shit going on, like Thatcher and all this fucking shit, you know what I mean? Like, and then when American Idiot came out, you know, there was all this stuff with Bush and stuff.
Yeah.
Look at all the shit that's going on today, like Brexit, you got Trump and stuff. And literally, music-wise, no one gives a fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, there
surely...
should be some, like...
Yeah, like, surely...
Like gallows style.
Yeah, all this discord and all this, like, shocking shit should be inspiring people, like, to write stuff. I mean, even, like, obviously we all know I love My Chemical Romance. Yeah. But, like, Gerard Way said that he was inspired to start the band from the Twin Towers.
Okay.
Getting smashed up, you know
that,
what I mean? That was how the band, like, became to be. Like, a lot of these, like, bands that people just write off as, like, daft, like, emo phases and stuff like that, they were, like, kind of secretly politically inspired. Yeah, and I think, like, there's so much shit going on now, and I'm like,
where's
like,
the...
what,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
who, why aren't you writing about this stuff?
It's a good point, that I've not thought of that.
It's just really mad. Like, it's probably, like, the social and economic climate, like, there's so much shit going on, and no one's kind of talking about it.
It's funny, I remember reading the thing in The Guardian a while ago. I don't know why I was reading The Guardian, don't even read the paper, but it was basically saying that, like, when bands like, remember Travis?
Yeah.
When bands like Travis are around, right, you know that the economy's going to be alright, because everything's fucking plain sailing, like, dead boring, dead bland, because everyone's just chilling, everyone's just chilling, no one's really bothered, they might go to Glastonbury, they might not.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, shit's going to go downhill when bands like Gallows are around, and, like, that Gallows is a different time now, that was 10 years ago.
No, yeah, but
so
no.
You're right, there should be, like an amazing angry punk band.
Yeah, like, there should be something, but, like, I think, it's getting a little bit deep here, but, like, everything's turned inwards now. Like, people don't, it's so bad that people don't want to think about it, so everything's selfies, Instagram, like, everyone's turning it in on themselves, which is why you get all this sort of, like apathetic mumble rap and stuff, and sad boy, like, you know, people like, there's, because of all the cross-cultural stuff, it's all about this sort of, like, I've got all the money, I've got all the bitches, and it's, like, really weird. The only thing that I can think of that comes close to, like, you know, speaking politically and, you know, about getting angry and pissed off about stuff, unfortunately, it's not metal or rock anymore. It's stuff like Tyler the Creator and Childish Gambino. You know, This Is America was Trent Reznor's song of 2018. Yeah. Like, Trent Reznor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not saying unfortunately, because, like, I'm glad someone's doing something, but it's like, where's the rock piece?
Yeah. Is it hip hop?
I feel like hip hop is the new rock now. Yeah. Like, that's most of the music the modern music that I listen to is mostly hip hop now. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's the only genre that's like, I can't tell you any new, and by new I mean the past 5 years, rock bands that I'm super into. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know any that have proper got me, like, going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, there's a lot of, like, interesting, and, like, rap's changed, like, as much as you've got all these, like, SoundCloud rappers, you know, talking about the Molly and this and that, there's also, like, weird, like, rappers that are talking about being depressed and talking about being pissed off and talking about, like, not being happy in a way that it would have been, like, bands like Blink-182 in our day. It's just a really weird time for music, I think.
Well, hip-hop stars are definitely the new rock stars in terms of, like, money, and, like Post Malone is Steven Tyler, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
this is the weirdest phrase ever, but I understand.
Like, but yeah, I think like there's, like, one hardcore band that I listen to at the minute from Manchester. They're called Not Loose, and they're fucking really good. And, like,
I don't doubt that there's mint music, but it's all gone completely underground rock wise. I think, and I think it's a shame, because I think there's always going to be good music. Like, I don't think that good music is just going to stop, but bands don't, like, record labels don't have the money to invest in new bands anymore. No. Like, you look at, like you know, like, what's it called, festival lineups, it's the same fucking old ass bands again and again and again, and they're not giving anyone a chance, and unless you're already famous, you're not getting the money to produce more music. It's very stagnant. Yeah. You know what I mean? So all these new bands that are, like, trying to emerge, they're just getting cut down before they can even show people what they got.
A lot of the problem is, I like studied a little bit about this at uni. I might have mentioned it on the podcast before, but, like, what you have is, like, people that can afford to do it for the love of it and make a living out of it, which is, like, super bottom level DIY. People that don't aspire to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Which is fine. They just want to like make music and like they survive, and then one out of like a million of them will get like superstar level.
Yeah.
But what you're missing is like nobody has the money to like invest in that mid-level band.
Yeah.
Like, because no one can make money from mid-level bands anymore. They have to be superstars.
Yeah.
So in order to make any money.
Yeah.
So like there's just like this weird like
divide.
Underground or like I keep saying Post Malone, but like underground or
No.
Post Malone. There's no
Yeah.
like
there's no middle ground. Yeah. Like whereas
no
before
meat.
there was like
Yeah.
levels of it.
Fucked with nightclubs and it messed up like towards my last year or so at Sumo. I was like, we're playing the same songs that we have for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
And like it's not because we wanted to, like I'd have like meetings with the DJs and stuff and be like, what can we do about the music? And they'd be like, all we've got to fuck with is like Bring Me the Horizon. We've got a new song coming out in a month. Like that's the only new song really that we can put in that people are going to know. Anything else is too underground or it's too poppy. Like
yeah, because you are stuck. Because in a club, people want to hear what what they know, but they also want to like, especially in like alternative clubs, they don't want just the same. So you're in a very.
But there was a good time of like, Enter Shikari.
Yeah,
first came
yeah,
out,
that was
so
a good
you could
time.
play Enter Shikari. You could play Motley Crue, but you could play Papa Roach. Would probably like.
They had like
then.
the new stuff, like the newer stuff.
Yeah, there was like big hitters. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like I feel like the fact that Scuzz is gone, like that just says everything to me. Because that's how that's the only other thing that you could do back then, other than going to town and buy a CD by a band that you'd never fucking heard before, just because the album cover was cool. Like you could sit in for free and listen to Scuzz and like maybe write down like the name of like a cool band or song.
Yeah.
Wait till the end so it pops up, so you could be like, oh shit, or like and then you could look them up, and then like Scuzz and more Scuzz than Kerrang, but Scuzz like was responsible for like getting me into a lot of bands that I never would have heard of otherwise, because they were like they would play kind of like weird stuff.
They play stuff that you weren't like. I used to wait for that weird hour where they play like the sensitive environments and videos and shit.
I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, it's really weird.
Strange, isn't it? Right, call it there.
Yeah.
Until next time. Should we talk about tattooing next time?
Yeah, talk about that next.
Thanks, Nat.
It's alright, thank you.